Trump just pulled off a $38 billion power move, and most people have no idea what happened. Indonesia, 280 million people, the world's largest nickel reserves, and the second largest copper mine on the planet, is, as of this week, wide open to American business. Indonesia torched tariffs on 99% of American exports. Wheat, weapons, aircraft, pharmaceuticals, and wiped out every local content rule, digital trade barrier, and critical mineral export restriction blocking American business. Grasberg, the world's second largest copper mine, just locked in a $10 billion a year deal for America, powering AI, fighter jets, and every EV on the road, right next door to the world's largest nickel reserves, which China has spent years trying to monopolize. Indonesia committed to $15 billion in U.S. energy purchases, $13.5 billion in Boeing aircraft, $4.5 billion in American farm products, and a full ban on forced labor imports. A direct strike at the practices that let China undercut American workers for years. Before this deal, Indonesia was charging 8% on American goods, while America only charged 3.3%, and the U.S. was running a $23.7 billion trade deficit with Indonesia. As of this week, America is no longer on the losing end.
I say this, you know what? Look up information yourself. If this turns out to be a long-lasting benefit to us, right? There's actual good, positive repercussions. I love it. Okay, and it's a sign that Trump is doing his job, right, for the prosperity of America. I would love it. Now, again, all this tariff stuff, all these things, in my opinion, is still trickle-down effect. We'll see what happens. Nothing is, in my personal opinion, concrete. Nothing is finalized. Nothing is, we're not seeing the effects of it yet. But again, my day-to-day life isn't really affected by politics like that. I mean, I know some people who are absolutely insane when it comes to politics, particularly the left. But I'm hoping a president will better the lives of Americans as a whole, better the future lives of Americans, better America. So we'll see. Hopefully it comes out amazing.
A month ago, everyone said Trump was insane for bombing Venezuela and capturing Maduro. Turns out, he just pulled off the most brilliant geopolitical move in years. Here's what nobody saw coming. Venezuela just rolled out brand new oil policies. U.S. companies get full access. American oversight controls the revenue. And Russia, they're completely out. Russian oil giant Rosneft spent decades building their Venezuela strategy, and now they're watching it all crumble. But wait, it gets even better. Remember Colombia's President Petro? 1 month ago, he called Trump's operation a kidnapping, threatened to take up arms. Fast forward to February 3rd, Petro walks into the White House, walks out wearing a MAGA hat, calling Trump terrific. Went from sworn enemy to, quote, not the best of friends. Meanwhile, Cuba's still playing tough guy. No Venezuelan oil, fuel imports drying up, daily blackouts, economy collapsing. The UN just warned Cuba faces humanitarian collapse. It's only a matter of time. Compare this to Russia. 3 years stuck in Ukraine, billions burned every month, and now they've lost their entire South American foothold. Trump took Venezuela in one night, while Russia can't take Kyiv in 3 years. Everyone thought Trump's Venezuela move was reckless. Turns out he just redrew the map of South America in 30 days.
Look, I've been a critic of Trump's foreign policy because I believe that he's focusing way too much outside of our borders than inside. But again, I'm not no politician. I don't know foreign affairs like that. I'm not. I don't call myself smart like that or anything. So there's smarter people than me, right? I also know. Although I don't agree to it. I know the reasonings why Trump and Israel is attacking Iran, because Iran is I think, prime exporter of oil to China, right? So you hear it cutting off oil to Russia. It's cutting off oil to China. Two of the biggest threats to America. Trump is in control. Okay, so great if we're established as number one world power, no one messes with us. I hope for the best, right? I believe us as Americans, we should always hope for the best. We should always hope our presidents have the best outcomes for our country. Okay, so again, I'm critical of his foreign policies, but this is why I'm not elected leader, right? Someone else is. So hopefully they will, make America prosper. Okay, so seems like it could go that way. Seems like it can, turn, towards that direction, right? But you can't predict the future. So, I believe, in my honest opinion, if Trump fails, 100% it's on Trump. If Trump succeeds, 100% it's on Trump. So, this is him building his legacy. If he wants to be known as the president that, made America succeed, okay. But if he wants to be known as the president that made America fail, that will be it.
Madam Leader, you're saying that the president did not need authorization initially and still does not need any authorization from Congress on Libya?
Yes. Let me respond by saying I've always believed that it's very important to respect the prerogatives of the Congress in terms of and being involved in any military action. A. B. That the consultation between the executive and the legislative branch is essential whenever we engage in a military action.
I love the hypocrisy of the left. I love the hypocrisy of Democrats. This is why I'm tired. I'm tired of politics, because it's the hypocrisy, right? You have nothing to stand on, right? Besides hating Trump, that is it. You have no ground to stand on. It's like I see Democrats complaining about, and I've said in plenty of videos that I'm not a biggest supporter of Trump's foreign policies, but he's the leader. We'll see what happens, right? We'll see, what are the consequences, what are the results of it. But this is the problem. I stick to my views, right? I'm not gonna flip flop on it. It's the hypocrisy, and I've seen reports, and I've seen, I did a little bit of research where Biden didn't need, Congress sayings for bombing things outside of the country, right? Bombing other countries. Obama definitely didn't. So, what is it? Rule for thee, not rule for me. So Obama can, strike anywhere he wants without, Congress's approval, but Trump needs it. He needs to inform Congress of his attacks on Iran. He needs to inform Congress of his attacks on, Venezuela. Really? It's just, I'm really, and I've seen this time and time again. Okay, that it's both sides. Right? No one's better than the other. It's just that, it's just the blatant hypocrisy. Okay, it's just a blatant hypocrisy. I'm tired of it. I really am. Okay, to make it seem like Democrats are better than anyone, they're not. They're just as worse, if not worser, if not more worse, because they hide behind morality of support, superiority. They think they're morally superior. They're not.
This statement from the administration: the president had the constitutional authority to direct the use of military force because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest. That's too vague for you?
Totally vague.
Okay, because that's from Obama about Libya.
Well, Obama made the argument initially that he could go into Syria without an authorization. I and many others pushed back on that argument. Ultimately, he did not go forward with going after Assad, even though Assad was gassing his own people, because he thought he might lose the vote in Congress. But I respect the fact that was important to him, and the fact that he did not have the support of Congress meant that we weren't going to go forward.
Trump isn't improvising in Latin America. He's reviving a 200-year-old strategy with 21st century tools. The Monroe Doctrine, a principle the U.S. now aims to update. After 2013, Washington pulled back from its traditional role in the Western Hemisphere, allowing others to move in. By 2024, China's trade with Latin America had surged from about $10 billion in 2000 to roughly $519 billion, giving Beijing leverage over key ports and critical resources. At the same time, Russia armed governments in Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua, and Iran supplied drones to Caracas. In response, Trump took bold action. U.S. forces captured Nicolas Maduro, a close Russian ally, demonstrating that Moscow could not defend its partner even in the United States' backyard. Washington moved rapidly, sanctioning Iran-Venezuela drone networks, offering Argentina a $20 billion economic lifeline, and opening talks with resource-rich Brazil. The goal is clear: reassert U.S. dominance in Latin America without endless wars.
The U.S. and Israel are inseparable allies. When the threat from Tehran reached a breaking point yesterday, Operation Epic Fury was launched. Look at Iran's response. Iran didn't just sit back. They immediately targeted U.S. bases in Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait. Why? Leverage. They are trying to raise the cost of this war so high that the U.S. is forced to stop. But their biggest lever is right here, the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's message to the world is simple. If we go down, the global economy goes down with us. By blocking this 21-mile wide neck, they can choke 30% of the world's seaborne oil. Usually that's a checkmate. Usually the US would be too afraid of $300 a barrel oil to attack. But here is the catch. So why did they strike yesterday? Because of this. In January, the US launched Operation Absolute Resolve and secured Venezuela. They didn't do it for democracy. They did it to create a strategic oil backup. By bringing the world's largest oil reserves under their influence 2 months ago, Washington neutralized Iran's only weapon. The US didn't enter the Middle East war until they had secured the treasury in the West. Chanakya taught us that a wise ruler never starts a fire until they have a second well of water. Iran thinks they still have leverage. The reality? They lost this war the moment Venezuela fell in January. This is the Chanakya lab. Stay ahead of the map.
While the world is fixated on the smoke over Tehran following yesterday's strikes, the real shockwaves are hitting Cuba. For decades, Cuba survived on a survival pact with Iran. Tehran provided the credit lines and the surveillance technology, while Cuba provided a front-row seat to the US border. But as of March 2nd, 2026, that lifeline is dead. With the leadership in Tehran decapitated and their infrastructure in ruins, but that isn't Cuba's biggest problem. Here comes Venezuela. For years, PDVSA wasn't just a Venezuelan oil company. It was the Western office for the Iranian shadow economy. Tehran didn't just send oil. They sent engineers to rebuild refineries, technicians to assemble Mohajer 6 combat drones. By dismantling PDVSA in January, the US didn't just flip a nation. They evicted Iran's most dangerous forward operating base. Cuba is now facing a total grid collapse. 20-hour blackouts, no fuel, no transport. By securing the West's treasury in January and striking the East's friend in February, the US has made Cuba's regime mathematically impossible to sustain. Chanakya taught that a state relying on a distant friend will fall when that friend's house is on fire. Today, President Trump floated the idea of a friendly takeover of Cuba. The 67-year stalemate is ending not with an invasion, but with a calculated energy checkmate. The war for Iran was the strike. The fall of Cuba is the result. This is the Chanakya lab. Stay ahead of the map.
Do you know who was Venezuela's largest oil customer? It was China. For years, Beijing poured billions into Venezuela to secure an energy plan B. They weren't just buying oil, they were trying to escape the petrodollar. China wanted to buy oil in yuan, bypassing the US financial system to shield their economy. But look at the map now. After Operation Absolute Resolve in January, the US didn't just remove Maduro, they seized the tap. By taking control of Venezuelan sales, Washington has effectively severed China's Western energy lifeline. But China had a plan C. Russia. But the US just turned the key. New sanctions on Russian oil giants like Rosneft and Lukoil have forced major buyers to scramble. However, China continues to buy oil from Russia. China depends on Iran for over 90% of Tehran's total exports. But as of today, March 6th, 2026, China's energy jugular has been severed. Following the strikes on Iran, this waterway has ground to a total halt. The shadow fleet of tankers China relies on to bypass sanctions is officially trapped behind a wall of fire. Venezuela in the west, Russia in the north, Iran in the east. The US has just closed the global pincer. China's energy heart is being choked from every direction at once. Checkmate? The map is shifting. Stay ahead of it. This is Chanakya Lab.
Look, I mean, Iran has American blood on their hands. Donald Trump has dragged us into a war the American people do not want.
Virtually every Democrat that I'm aware of says we can never allow Iran to acquire nuclear bombs, and they were a significant risk to America. So I know why they don't say that now, because I'm aware that it is very damaging as a Democrat to just happen to agree with the president on anything.
China's not coming, Russia's not coming, North Korea's not coming, Cuba's not coming, Venezuela's not coming. They are not coming to help you, Iran. No one is coming. But there is one entity left that is trying to help you, Iran regime, only one on this planet. And that's my friends over here. They have brought this, and you heard the language I said, they're trying to use the process of the United States Senate to stop our commander-in-chief to doing what he has set out to do. No other entity on the planet is attempting to help you, Iran. Nobody, except one. And that one is right here.
I want to preface, if that's true, if this is accurate, it's disgusting. I don't know who that is. Right? I'm not that well versed in politics. So if that's actually a U.S. Politician, absolutely disgusting. If that is a Democrat politician, they have built their platform calling Donald Trump a dictator, authoritarian, and yet here they are saying that all these communist countries, all these dictatorship countries, nations, all these authoritarian leaders that he mentioned wouldn't help Iran. Yet our Democratic elected officials who constantly call Trump a Nazi, a dictator, a authoritarian who abuses his power, would come up and try to help and the Iranian dictator. I swear to God, I don't say that Republicans are perfect, because they're far from it, right? I have a lot of, there's plenty of gripes you can say about Republicans. But I can't say Republicans hate their country. I cannot. Yet I can say Democrats do. Right? You have these foreign enemies that wouldn't even help Iran. Yet our government, right, the left, the Democrats, are eager to help a dictator, while calling their own leader, our president, a dictator. The hypocrisy never ends with Democrats. This is why I can't stand them. I think, I'm sorry, anyone that votes blue is an absolute stupid un-American.
Hola.
Mi español no es el mejor.
No te preocupes, alcalde. Si su hijo o hija está cumpliendo 3 o 4 años en el 2026, usted puede registrarlos gratis en el programa Kinder 3 o Prekinder de la ciudad de Nueva York.
At the heart of this path is a property tax increase. This would effectively be a tax on working and middle-class New Yorkers who have a median income of $122,000. The second path also requires us to raid our reserves. It would mean withdrawing $980 million from our city's rainy day fund in fiscal year 2026 and $229 million from the Retiree Health Benefit Trust in fiscal year 2027. These are steps that have been taken before, but only in moments of extraordinary external crisis. Mayor Bloomberg's response to the 2008 financial collapse, and Mayor de Blasio's response to the enormous revenue shortfall caused by the pandemic. We do not want to have to turn to such drastic measures to balance our...
I don't know how anyone votes Democrat, right? Even if you hate Trump, I don't know how you can vote Democrat. So New York has a budget problem that potentially they have to raise property tax and for the working people, and they have to raid, their savings, their, people's, money allocated for retirement and, for other things. Yet they want to promote, and I had to check that, right? I had to double check if that was true, that they had money for free childcare, particularly for illegal immigrants. So you have money for child daycare for illegal immigrants. You have money for free grocery stores, yet you have a budget problem. It doesn't seem like it's correlating for me. I mean, please tell me, how can you have a budget problem yet you're giving out free shit? Right? It seems like this is the problem with the government, right? You have a spending problem. Right? Nothing is truly free. Right? If I gave you a loaf of bread, that loaf of bread, right, it's going to cost somebody somewhere. Okay? And it may cost you without you even knowing it cost you. Right? This is the stupidity. I'm sorry. Okay? I don't understand why you will vote blue. Why? They're just trying to please you now to screw you over later. Okay? That's great. Right? Yeah, let's not suffer while we're young and, can do our shit. Let's suffer when we're old and helpless. Right? When we're old and need protection, right? Let's suffer then instead of now when we can protect ourselves. Whatever. This is the thing where I don't say, the Republicans are great, but at least they're not as two-faced as Democrats, in my opinion.
Here's 357 members of Congress that no longer deserve your vote. So Nancy Mace put forward a bill that would have released all sexual harassment and sexual misconduct reports for members of Congress. And 357 members of the House voted against it. It's amazing because at the same time, this man just went before Congress. Y'all know Tim Tebow, right? He just went before the Senate and begged them to pass the Renewed Hope Act of 2026, a bill aimed at helping protect children from sexual exploitation. Like, did you know that right now, 338,000 unique IP addresses in the U.S. access child exploitation material? That is the best PC way I can word that. Guys, read between the lines and understand what I'm talking about. That is 338,000 people viewing that type of material. The craziest part, it keeps getting worse. Like back in 2024, there were 57,000 unidentified child sexual abuse images that were still waiting to be evaluated. This year, that number's up to 89,000, with roughly 1/3 of them being here in the U.S. Look, I know that we've come to expect very little of our lawmakers. Like, we just expect Congress to not fucking do anything. But it is so hard watching them when they have the opportunity to protect vulnerable children that they're not even willing to vote. But here's what I ask any of you. Look up whether or not your member of Congress voted against this. And then look up whether or not your member of Congress wants to pass the Renewed Hope Act. If your congressman is one of the 357 people here, or one of the people that are against this, how about you take that as a sign that they no longer deserve your...
You know, I'm seeing, this thought going around that we should implement term limits, in the sense that no career politicians. No career politicians, I'm sorry. Maybe 8 years, right? 2 terms, I guess. And that's it. Yeah, these people should be out. These people are disgusting. This is why, I constantly hear these comments, these talking points about the Epstein file. F the Epstein file, right? Because you people don't care. You people don't care. You only hate Trump. That's why you constantly talk about the Epstein file. Because if you cared, if the Democrats cared, right? Even if Republicans cared, because I haven't looked at that list, I'm pretty sure there's Republicans on it, right? If people actually cared, that would be voted, right? That would be voted on. That would be voted for, okay? Not against. And people online will be screaming that instead of Epstein file. Okay, that right there is an actual action to protect the vulnerable, to protect children. But they don't care. They don't care. This is why I don't fall for the propaganda of constantly Epstein file this. What about the Trump is a pedo? Well, do you actually care? Do you actually care? Because I don't see you voting any politicians that, this is my thing where I think we should have a politician that wants actual change, right? Politician that, I would vote for a politician that wants death penalty for proven pedos, right? China's doing it. Why can't we do it? Right? Death penalty for proven pedos. Right? We should not, right, be scared of passing laws that would get rid of the worst of our nation. I'm sorry. At the very least, if you love illegal immigrants, the very least is those are the type of people that should be disappeared in our world. But the ones that scream Epstein file don't really talk about that. Don't really protest that. Right? Politicians, Democrats that talk about the Epstein file, talk about Trump's supposed crimes, wouldn't even do that. Yeah. It's disgusting.
I have one word only. I advise to the representative of the United States to be polite. It will be better for yourself and the country you represent. Thank you.
Frankly, I'm not going to dignify this with another response, especially as this representative sits here in this body representing a regime that has killed tens of thousands of its own people and imprisoned many more simply for wanting freedom from your tyranny.
Okay, I said this, right? I'm not a big fan of Trump's foreign policy. I think we should let these countries kill themselves. I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care about Israel, Iran, Pakistan, the Ukraine, all these other countries. I don't care, right? I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm America first, right? We care about what's happening in American borders, okay? If it doesn't affect us in the near term or whatever, I don't care, right? I don't care what happens to these people. So that's my my gripe with Trump's foreign policies. I wish he could care less about them, right? Let them battle themselves and, kill themselves off. That's my opinion. Harsh or whatever. But that was disrespectful. That right there, what that Iranian representative did, who the hell do you think you are? This is America. Are you threatening us? You are the one that should be polite. Right? You are the one that should watch your mouth. Okay? Who do you think you are? This is America. We're Americans. We ain't taking disrespect. We are top dogs. Right? That's the thing where the audacity of this man to say that we got to be polite because what? For our country, our people? Boy, you're lucky. Right? You're lucky we don't go to actual war. Because in my honest opinion, not a country on this earth can actually beat us. Not a country on this earth can actually beat our government military, right? Not a country on this earth, right? And I believe, controversially, even if the whole world got together, I don't think they would beat us. I don't, well, think what you may. At least that's personal opinion. Okay, they should need to be polite. Okay, I think it would have been smarter for them to be polite so we don't enter, this conflict. Right? If they actually, kept the conflict between, I don't know, in between their, little countries, and played nice with the U.S., I think it would have been to their benefit. But it's the audacity, right? It's the ego, the narcissism of said countries, thinking that they have something, an upper hand. I think countries would be smarter, right, to be polite, to beg, to grovel, whatever, so the U.S. would stay out of their business. But we'll see. I mean, their leader have already suffered the fate of ego.
Hey, this is for the Ayatollah of Iran. If you're not the Ayatollah of Iran, you can skip. Listen, my name's Chris Valenti. I live in New York. I had nothing to do with what's going on. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm hoping you fucking win. Most of us fucking despise Donald Trump. This is his fault. If you got a bone to pick it with him. 1600 Pennsylvania Ave.
Hey, Chris, I think you should book a flight to go over to Iran and check on him. Maybe you can attend his...
I don't know about you. Maybe it's my FYP, but I've been seeing people who are from Iran actually happy about it. But I don't care, right? I mean, it's like I've had an opinion that I believe Trump shouldn't even bother with other countries. Let they deal with it. But this is the thing where it's not really that point, right? My issue is that I really hate this shit because I find it insane that it's usually Americans that hate America more than other people, right? I don't know about you, but the things I've seen, right? You always hear that, oh, you know what? People outside our countries laughing at us. They hate America. But going to other countries, that's not what I see. That's not what I hear, okay? Hell, I hear Americans hating America more than I hear people from other countries, okay? I hear people from other countries more fascinated with America, support America, more than I hear Americans. I hear Americans who hate on America, hate on the president, hate on our government, hate on our people, yet the same Americans wouldn't even leave our country for whatever other country that they would want to be with, right? This piece of shit would not leave America for Iran. He wouldn't, okay? I guarantee you, he wouldn't be able to shit on, if he lived in other places, he wouldn't be able to be so critical of other places' governments. But he can, revel in the freedom of insulting our president as much as he wants here, right? Hating our government, hating our people, hating our country as much as he wants here. I just wish I've said this before. I think the worst parts of our country is liberals, is Democrats, is people like this that hate our country are the worst part of our country because they make things hard to progress. Hating our country, fighting against our country, okay, doing nothing but talking, right, is actually the detriment to our country right here. Piece of crap like this is just makes it just absolutely disgusting. And promoting killing, right? Promoting death, promoting killing political opposition, people you don't agree with, and you're surprised that these are the people supposedly the party of peace. No, they're the party of death.
What do you do the State of the Union because you care about Americans so much, and not even mention the two people who lost their lives on the streets of America at the hand of federal agents?
One who tried to run over.
But how do you not even? You can do your commentary all you want, or critique. But how do you not mention that two people died in that environment? And the president was one of the most unifying speeches. The president who said, "Look at the Democrats, aren't they crazy?" He obviously does not understand that when he won election, he is supposed to represent all people.
When you go through some of the moments he went to, right? He pointed to a little girl, Delilah, who was almost killed by an illegal alien, miraculously came back. She was there with her dad. When you have Democrats who won't stand and applaud her recovery, yeah, I think that's
Sadly,
crazy.
people are killed in America every day. Sadly. And the majority of them are killed by U.S. citizens. So whether undocumented immigrant,
I'm saying
whether it's an undocumented immigrant or a U.S. citizen who's the perpetrator, the bottom line is somebody has died or someone has been...
One died as
I want to say this, right? The U.S. president represents American. The American president represents Americans, not illegal immigrants. And the hypocrisy. How can any logical Democrat support your own party? How can you? Her first statement pretty much said that the president didn't recognize the death of 2 Americans. Her second statement is, oh, well, Americans die all the time. Do you want the death of Americans to be recognized, or it's just another day? It's like, what? So really, you don't care about the death of Americans. You only care about your own agenda. Okay? You care about Americans when it fit your agenda. Because both of her statements contradicted each other. You wanted to recognize the death of Americans, yet you pretty much belittled the death of Americans. Don't really make sense. Doesn't really correlate, right? It doesn't really correlate. And this is the problem with a lot of Democrat and the left. Yes, Americans die all the time. But Americans should never have died by an illegal immigrant because they should never have been here. Okay, Americans die by Americans. But the ones that, the Americans that are criminals, they get punished. But the illegal immigrants that committed these crimes, they should have never been here to commit said crime. Two things can be true at once. Yes, Americans kill Americans. Okay, that's every country. That's any country. You kill your own. But you shouldn't be in a situation where someone who should never have been in that area, right, in your country, should be able to commit crime against you. That should never have happened. Okay? I mean, like, it could be, you could think about it, like, let's think about it in a personal level. Yeah, maybe your family can kill you, okay, because they're in the same house. But a stranger entering your house should never have a chance to commit any kind of crime on you because they should never be in your house. Understandable, a friend, a family can be in your house, okay. But strangers entering your house, that should never have happened. That's the same way with illegal immigrants. They should never be here to commit said crimes on Americans. And this is the thing, I swear, no logical person can be on a Democrat side.